Good morning, everyone. Namaste. We are going to be reading out of my Power of the Now, A Guide to Spiritual Enlightenment by Eckhart Tolle. And if you don't know who Eckhart Tolle is, he's on this app. I will tag him in it. I would highly recommend following him. I believe he is one with his higher self, and he is tapped into Christ consciousness. And a lot of his messages, I believe, are coming from that. So we are still reading on chapter 1, You Are Not Your Mind, the Greatest Obstacle to Enlightenment. So it says, the mind is a superb instrument if used rightly. Used wrongly, however, it becomes very destructive. To put it more accurately, it's not so much that you use your mind wrongly. You usually don't use it at all. It uses you. This is the disease. You believe that you are your mind, and this is the delusion. The instrument has taken you over. It says, I don't quite agree. It's true that I do a lot of aimless thinking, like most people, but I can still choose to use my mind to get and accomplish things I do all the time. Just because you can solve a crossword puzzle, and I'm going to blank out something, means that you use your mind. Just as dogs love to chew bones, the mind loves to get its teeth into the problems. That's why it does crossword puzzles and builds things. You don't have no interest in either. Let me ask you this. Can you be free of your mind whenever you want to? Have you found the off button? So going into meditation, either like when walking, doing the dishes, while cooking, etc., etc. You mean stop thinking altogether? No, I can't, except maybe for a moment or two. Then the mind is using you. You are unconsciously identified with it. So you don't even know that you are its slave. It's almost as if you were possessed without knowing it, and so you take the possessing entity to be yourself. The beginning of freedom is the realization that you are not the possessing entity, the thinker. Knowing this enables you to observe the entity. The moment you start watching the thinker, a higher level of consciousness becomes activated. You then begin to realize that this is the vast realm of intelligence beyond thought. That thought is only a tiny aspect of that intelligence. You also realize that all things that truly matter, beauty, love, creativity, joy, inner peace, arise from beyond the mind. You begin then to awake. Freeing yourself from your mind. What exactly do you mean by watching the thinker? When someone goes to the doctor and says, I hear a voice in my head, he or she will most likely be sent to a psychiatrist. The fact is that a very similar way, virtually everyone hears voices or several voices in their head at all times. The involuntary thought process that you don't realize that you have the power to stop. Continuous monologues or dialogues. You probably have come across mad people on the streets incessantly talking or muttering to themselves. Well, that's not much different from what you and all normal people do, except you don't do it out loud. The voices, the comments, the speculates, the judges, the compares, the complains, the likes, the dislikes, and so on. The voice isn't necessarily relevant to the situation you find yourself in at all times. It may be reviving the recent or distant past or rehearsing and imagining possible future situation. Here it is often imagines things going wrong and negative outcomes. This is called worry. Sometimes the soundtrack is accompanied by a visual images or mental movies. Even if the voice is relevant to the situation at hand, it will interpret it in terms of the past. This is because the voice belongs to your conditioned mind, which is a result of all your past history as well as your collective cultural mind set you inherited. So you see and judge the present through the eyes of the past and get a totally distorted view of it. It is not uncommon for the voice to be a person's own worst enemy. Most people live with a tormentor in their head that continually attacks and punishes them and drains them of vital energy. It is the cause of the untold misery and unhappiness as well as the disease. The good news is that you can free yourself from your mind. This is only the true liberation. You can take the first step right now. Start listening to the voice in your head as often as you can. Pay particular attention to any repetitive thought patterns, those old gramophone records that have been playing in your head perhaps for many years. This is what I mean by watching the thinker, which is another way of saying listen to the voice in your head. Be there as a witness presence. So witnessing it, not necessarily following the guidance of it, but witnessing and observing it. When you listen to that voice, listen to it impartially. That is to say, do not judge or condone what you hear, for doing so would mean that same voice has come in again through the back door. You will soon realize there is a voice, and here I am listening to it, watching it. This is I am realization that this sense of your own presence is not a thought. It arises from beyond the mind. Well, absolutely, guys, and this is exactly what I'm working on right now, is really kind of just observing negative thoughts, but not being a part of it, not in judgment of it, understanding and allowing them to come up, and maybe trying to think about where they're stemming from, why you're having those negative thoughts. Maybe they're about yourself, maybe they're about somebody else, but just be an observation of it. And like he said, write down anything that's in a continuous. If you're always thinking, man, I am just not, smart or something like that, write that down and kind of go to the root of the problem. Where did that possibly come from? Maybe somebody along the way told you growing up that you weren't, smart. And at that point, you want to send healing to it. You want to release it. You want to surrender it to God, the universe, whoever it is that you believe is a higher power, or to your higher self. And ask for a resolution with that from the angels, your guides, whoever. So that would be my advice, but I hope this helps, and I love you all. Have a blessed day, and namaste.